How's it going, guys, and how is it going? All right, welcome back. All right, let's talk about this quickly. If you're somebody right now who is considering venturing in student accommodation for investment purposes, or perhaps you already bought your first investment property in student accommodation, and you're going to start operating it. Here is what makes these student accommodation investments fail. And there's a few things you can avoid to make sure that you become successful. But I want to talk about what makes it fail most of the time, especially for first time student accommodation investors. Student accommodation, let's be honest, is a very, very good and lucrative vehicle. And if you know and knowledgeable about what happens in the student accommodation market, is we cater them for students. Usually must be close to universities, have amenities like Wi-Fi, important. Some people might have DSTVs, and you need to have like a living room where the students can relax a bit. Usually you have to buy the furniture as well. You have to get a fridge, etc., and microwave oven, and they can be able to be in a place where it is convenient and it is full of amenities, plus very close up to shops. Safety is very, very important. No parents want their kids to be in a place where it's unsafe. And also, you want them to also come back and be able to go to study at school if they're writing. Students' lifestyles and timetables a little bit more different depending on obviously which year they are in. And that's why you want to be able to know exactly what year you're also catering for. So those are the high level view of, student accommodation projects, or I should say investment. And here's why, first time investors in that market fail most of the time. So I want to put it very, very simply so you can get it. And there's no misunderstanding at the end of the day, because most people get into this market because of the hype as well. I mean, we know that in 2018 or 19, there was a stat that was released by, I'm not sure if it's Department of Higher Education, saying there are 300,000 beds deficit in Johannesburg alone, I think, or Gauteng. I'm not sure which one is it, but you guys can correct me on that. And that created a little bit big of a market where people can become players in student accommodation and be able to provide good accommodation, which is clean, well maintained, and students can stay inside, be able to focus on their studies instead of focusing on getting bitten by bugs and things like that, and rats, etc. And they can also be in close proximity to the university. They can be able to do their work, have the convenience of the Wi-Fi, have the safety to stay without their stuff getting stolen, their belongings, and be able to pass, become productive members of society, and be able to have careers as well, which is a very, very big and a very beautiful thing that the student accommodation market does for our communities as well. So we know that property is one of the essential things that we need as people. There's no way you're just gonna stay. I wouldn't say there's no way, but the ideal is you want to stay in a place where you are safe. You need a place for shelter. You have maybe your belongings, if you have any belongings, in that place as well. And then you want to be able to have your students or kids, if you are the parent in this point, to have the same place as well when they're starting as well, to have a place where they can sleep, eat, shower, watch TV, relax a bit, and etc. All of those other things as well. So it's just part of our essential, needs as people. The need of for shelter. I should say it like that. Food and shelter is something that the reason, why a lot of people are still investing in real estate right now is because they realize that the demand for shelter is never going to go away, especially if we have like 7.4 billion people right now, and the population is still growing, and we don't see that going to be slowing down anytime soon. And so besides I want us to zoom on student accommodation on its own, to say, what is the thing that makes first time investors, let's talk about investors right now. You, somebody who's watching my channel, you probably an investor. Let's talk about people who want to invest in this student accommodation market, and they want to be players, and they're getting it wrong and they're failing. and what they can do to avoid this thing from happening. There's one thing to get a good student accommodation property that makes money. So if you are fortunate enough to know how numbers work, if your property has a good return and you do your market study, and perhaps you're buying a business that is already operating, then you manage to pass the first thing which you need to get right as an investor in general, meaning that your numbers are working, you know your returns, as I said, and luckily you bought an existing business in student accommodation, and you're just going to start operating and trading after transfer. Then you have a good deal. So the only problem that I see a lot of times where investors get to fail when they actually enter the student accommodation market is the trading and operation, meaning that after the transfer has happened of your good property, which is making money, has tenants, etc., the operation and trading of that property to make sure that it continues running as a business is the biggest challenge as well. So it's one thing to get a good suitable property, which we teach you all about. We can also help you do that as well. I think that you can book a call with one of our team and then figure out, how you can get help to do that as well, because we specialize very much in student accommodation. So one of our consulting calls can help you set up a business like that and be able to know how to do the first part. But I don't want to digress and talk too much about that. I want to focus on the second part, which is operating and trading. So now your property has been transferred. It's your first month. You're excited. You got your title deed, etc., and you have the keys. You're opening your student house accommodation. Perhaps you have tenants, perhaps you don't. You have to advertise, you have to get tenants, you have to take the right tenants, marketing, etc., all that stuff. That becomes the hard part because most people don't have the right business systems that are proven, that are being used in the market. They're going to try to reinvent their own wheel, and they don't even have people they can ask about those systems. They can't even just copy paste other people's existing systems that are working successfully and then use them for trading for themselves as well. It's like buying into a franchise. You're not going to always have to invent the wheel all the time. You want to use what's existing, what's working, and then you want to model successful people. In business, that's not called copying or plagiarism. That is just modeling. You're modeling what they do, and then you model it for your student accommodation, because yours is going to be unique. It's going to be in a different place or similar place, whatever, but that's something that a lot of people lack. And that is the hardest part I see where people go wrong, is because not only, it is hard to find a good deal, good location at the right price with the right sort of arrangement with the seller. But if you've done that part very well, the other thing that I see most people fail is starting to operate it. They have tenants leaving their places. They don't want to renew their leases. They rely too much on their property manager, who doesn't pay attention to their properties alone because they're managing a big portfolio of properties, and then the property deteriorates. You have leaks, you have a lot of stuff that is going on, and then the students hate the place, and then the safety also deteriorates, and you don't taking care also of the people who are helping you operate it as well, or you might actually not even have the right system to do that too. So that's when a little bit of a headache comes in, and I think that's where the high risk high reward comes in as well. Most of the time, the student accommodation properties have higher maintenance cost because you have students and then you have multiple tenants. And the students are not like families where they're going to be taking care of the properties most of the time, and are not like young adults who are going to be wanting a cool place to stay in so they can bring their friends. They're just there to study, and most of the time they don't care too much about if their property is in good shape or not. And that's not, they don't put it as part of their responsibility most of the time. If they're gonna say it's your job, they just pay the rent, and then they have a place to stay, cook, clean, chill with friends, go back to school, study, etc. And that is where you have a little bit of higher maintenance cost that you get usually on this type of properties as well. So the building, the building is already existing is fine, but the operating and trading is a problem. And that is when I think that if you have a proven system on how to operate and trade, then you can avoid most of those blunders as an investor. So what I would want you to invest in is figuring out that, okay, I'm going to buy student accommodation, which is buying a business most of the time if you're smart enough. And then you can also be smart enough to buy something a little bit distressed with the right timing, and then fix it up, do the applications to make sure that it's accredited if you want it to be accredited with the universities, and then be able to trade from there as well. And if you want to do that route as well, I think the most important thing is the trading part as well, because trading is what makes you money on a consistent basis. Trading is what makes your investment give you positive income. Trading is what makes your business predictable, and you can bank on it, and you can be able to make plans around your business as well. And trading is what puts money in your pocket on a monthly basis. And if you don't get that right, you're going to have a problem. Don't rely too much on your manager. Don't rely too much on your caretaker. I think this is where you rely too much on your system to be a system that can be able to handle a proper business efficiently and effectively. Otherwise, if you need help with that as well, book a session. It's a free session. I'll put a link below. Let's have a conversation about that. We are happy to talk about this stuff. We love investing in student accommodation, and this is why we talk about it all the time. So you can avoid these things as a first-time investor in the market and be able to accelerate your journey and get results immediately. Otherwise, guys, I'm always excited to make these videos, and this is where I'm going to end our video right now. So I want you to think about this. Comment in the section below and let us know what other things you see first-time investors do when they're investing in student accommodation, and also how can they avoid that as well, and also improve on their existing systems too. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you guys later, and videos every day, I think, until June, and then we're going to be able to take it from there with a little bit of a different format. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. Press the like button if you have not subscribed and watching these videos. I'm not sure why you're doing that. There's so much value on this channel. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.